Hong Kong's chief executive says the main themes of his policy address will be on the economy and people's livelihood. Freebies and discounts for the public on National Day holiday. And U.S. military kills 3 on a boat for allegedly transporting illegal drugs. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. Chief Executive John Lee will deliver his new policy address tomorrow, which is expected to include a range of policies that focus on reform, developing the economy, and improving residents' livelihood. Sources said the address will mention the speeding up of efforts to develop the northern metropolis via dedicated legislation. Timothy Lee reports.
Regular meetings resume for the Executive Council after the summer recess today, with Chief Executive John Lee emphasizing the theme of deepening reform in his 4th policy address. A key aspect of the address is the development of the northern metropolis. Authorities had earlier announced that tenders for its Hung Shui Kiu Hashun new development area will start in the 4th quarter of this year. Sources indicated the government's latest intention is to speed up the process by implementing dedicated legislation for leasing, planning, and construction of infrastructure as part of its aim to increase flexibility. Some lawmakers agreed, believing that such a policy would not sacrifice the quality of the laws. Lawmaker Lau Kwok Fan from the Democratic Alliance for the Betterment and Progress of Hong Kong noted similar practices have been widely adopted in various areas across the city. Lawmaker Shanghai Long from the Election Committee suggested the development of the northern metropolis to focus on certain industries, such as biotech and artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, regarding suggestions for rolling out consumption vouchers to relieve economic pressure on local restaurants and cinemas, reports say authorities are not inclined to offer citywide handouts. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The chief executive will deliver the policy address at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It will be broadcast live on Pearl. The chief executive also says that administrative measures will be taken to implement the Court of Final Appeals ruling to protect certain rights of same-sex couples. Jackie Lin has details.
The Legislative Council voted down the registration of same-sex partnerships bill, which would have recognized same-sex partnerships in Hong Kong with certain rights granted to couples. That has marked the first time the legislature vetoed a government bill since the city's electoral system was overhauled. Chief Executive John Lee says it shows the judiciary, executive, and legislature each fulfill their roles, with good communication between the executive and the Legislative Council, and the government also respects the decisions made. Lee says the Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Bureau will study the possibility of tapping administrative measures to roll out policies to implement the 2023 Court of Final Appeals ruling, according to actual situations to protect the rights of same-sex couples, including medical or inheritance-related issues. When asked about the mother and son, both Tin Shui Wai residents in a public housing flat, who plunged to their death after receiving an eviction notice from the housing department for failing to declare their assets during their public housing application.
There are 2 members of the public who lost their lives. Of course, I'm really sad about it.
He says he heard suggestions to increase the number of healthcare representatives in the Housing Appeal Committee so as to balance the needs to combat the abuse of public housing while humanely handle some special cases. Jackie Lim, TVB News.
With just 2 weeks left until National Day on October 1, Chief Executive John Lee announced that the government will collaborate with various sectors to launch a series of discounts and free rides. Tram rides will be free and children will ride for free on buses that day. MTR will also distribute 76,000 electronic one-way tickets. Lee said the special deals also cover leisure, dining, and entertainment. Selected museum exhibitions at the Leisure and Cultural Services Department and the Wetland Park will be free. There will be a race meeting at Sha Tin Racecourse that day, and admissions to both Sha Tin and Happy Valley racecourses will be free. The government will also subsidize movie admissions, offering half-price tickets for all seats. Over 1,000 restaurants will offer discounts. In the evening, there will be a National Day fireworks display over Victoria Harbour, followed by a cultural performance the following evening. Post-COVID tourist figures in Hong Kong reached its highest monthly level last month at 5.1 million, a rise of 16% year-on-year. This as the Travel Industry Council expect mainland visitor numbers coming to the city will reach 1.5 million during the National Day Golden Week holidays. Hong Kong saw a total visitor figure of 33.1 million between January and August of this year, which is an increase of 12% year-on-year. Among August's 5.1 million tourists, some 4.2 million came from the mainland, while long-haul tourists increased by 23% to 245,000. Overseas, Donald Trump said the U.S. military again targeted a boat allegedly carrying drugs from Venezuela, killing 3 aboard the vessel. The U.S. president hinted the military targeting of cartels could be further expanded. Daniel Rao reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump said the strike occurred while what he called confirmed narco-terrorists from Venezuela were in international waters transporting illegal narcotics. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump was asked what proof the U.S. has the vessel was carrying drugs.
Well, we have proof. All you have to do is look at the cargo that was, like, it's spattered all over the ocean. Big bags of cocaine and fentanyl all over the place. And it was, plus we have recorded evidence that they were leaving. We have noticed that there are no ships in the ocean anymore. We're seeing that there's like no ships, no, you know, when the first one we went, there were hundreds of boats. Now there are no boats. I wonder why.
Trump also suggested U.S. military strikes targeting alleged drug smugglers at sea could be expanded to land. The Trump administration has justified the military action as a necessary escalation to stem the flow of drugs into the United States. Still, several senators, Democrats and some Republicans have questioned the legality of Trump's actions. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California said he's drafting a war powers resolution aimed at preventing U.S. troops from engaging in further strikes until formally authorized by Congress. Schiff said he was concerned these lawless killings are just putting us at risk and could prompt another country to target U.S. forces without proper justification. The White House has offered little information about how the operations came together or the legal authorities under which they were carried out. The strike was carried out nearly 2 weeks after another military strike on what the Trump administration said was a drug-carrying speedboat from Venezuela that killed 11 people. U.S. officials said the strike early this month targeted Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang designated by the U.S. as a terrorist organization. Trump did not specify whether Tren de Aragua was also the target of Monday's strike. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro hit out at the latest U.S. strikes. He said the Trump administration is using drug trafficking accusations as an excuse for a military operation, and the intentions are to intimidate and seek regime change in the South American country. Meanwhile, the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, reacted to the U.S. adding Colombia to a list of nations failing to cooperate in the war on drugs, a measure it hadn't used against the South American country for over 30 years. Petro lamented the decision, saying Colombia was penalized after sacrificing the lives of dozens of policemen, soldiers and regular citizens trying to stop cocaine from reaching the United States. Dan Rowell, TV News.
Chinese officials said a basic framework consensus has been reached with the United States on properly resolving the TikTok issue following 2 days of trade talks in Madrid, Spain. The deal is subject to the approval of the 2 heads of state, who will hold a call later this week. Danny Zhou has more.
Leading the Chinese delegation was Vice Premier He Lifeng. He described the economic and trade dialogue that started on Sunday as candid, in-depth and constructive. He also remarked that Beijing is unwavering in its determination to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests, as well as those of Chinese-funded enterprises overseas. Earlier, U.S. Trade Representative Scott Bessent announced what he calls a framework deal on TikTok, a short video platform which boasts about 170 million American users. The deal struck is expected to facilitate switching it to U.S.-controlled ownership, according to Bessent. China's top trade negotiator Li Chenggang told reporters on Monday that the consensus was in their mutual interest. He said the 2 sides have recognized the importance of a stable and sound bilateral trade ties and that the US showed willingness to move together with China towards the same goal of reducing barriers to investment and promoting relevant cooperation. A cyberspace official, meanwhile, elaborated on the aspects covered in the framework deal.
Both sides reached basic consensus regarding our full respect for the will of the business as well as the law of the market, as well as resolving the TikTok issue through such methods as entrusted operation of TikTok's US user data and content security business, as well as the license for use of algorithm and other intellectual property rights.
He added the Chinese government will examine and improve relevant matters such as technology export and the licensed use of intellectual property in accordance with laws. US President Donald Trump announced on social media that he will be speaking with President Xi Jinping on Friday to complete the TikTok deal. The Wednesday deadline for TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell the platform to a US company could be further extended by 90 days to allow the deal to be finalized. In the Oval Office, Trump was asked whether China would continue to have a stake in TikTok.
We haven't decided that, but it looks to me, and I'm speaking to President Xi on Friday for confirmation of that, and, frankly, more importantly, a big deal. And we've had very good meetings.
Reports say Oracle is among a raft of firms that would allow TikTok to keep its operations in the States. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Still ahead. And the Airport Authority celebrates 100 years of Hong Kong's airport development. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump arrives in the United Kingdom today for a state visit during which the British government hopes a multi-billion-dollar technology deal will show the transatlantic bond remains strong. British soldiers were preparing for rehearsals in Windsor on Monday to welcome President Trump for his historic second state visit. King Charles III and Queen Camilla will accompany the President and First Lady Melania Trump on a carriage ride through the Windsor estate, then back to the castle along a path lined with members of the armed forces. River patrols and searches were also being carried out on the Thames on Monday to ensure a safe event is delivered. This will be a spectacle with a purpose to bolster ties with one of the world's most powerful men at a time when his America First policies are roiling long-standing trade and security relationships. Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer are set to sign a technology partnership accompanied by major investments in nuclear energy, life sciences, and artificial intelligence data centers. China and Poland issued a joint document from the fourth plenary session of the Intergovernmental Cooperation Committee as Foreign Minister Wang Yi urged steady and undisturbed growth of their bilateral relationship. After concluding his visit to Slovenia, Wang landed in Warsaw to meet with Poland's President Karol Nawrocki and Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski. The two countries will mark the 10th anniversary of their comprehensive strategic partnership next year. Wang said China and Poland, both committed to self-reliance and independence, should carry forward their friendship and uphold mutual trust while accommodating each other's core interests. Sikorski reiterated Poland's adherence to the One China policy and said his country is ready to expand cooperation in economy, trade, and people-to-people exchanges. And back locally, the Airport Authority has organized an exhibition that celebrates 100 years of Hong Kong's airport development. Jackie Lin has more.
The centennial exhibition of Hong Kong airport development opened today at the airport's arrival hall, inviting locals and travelers to pause and rediscover the city's aviation story that spans a full century. Across curated displays from the maiden recorded flight that took place in Kai Tak Bay to the runway light that once guided aircraft in Kai Tak and air tickets in the bygone years, as well as vintage postcards featuring flight attendants. Even clips from classic TVB dramas from the golden age of television and movie photos shot on location at Kai Tak. The 1990s are remembered through promotional stickers of the new Cheklapkak Airport, as well as memorabilia from the 1998 trial operations, including mock travel documents that marked Hong Kong Airport's transition.
3, 2, 1.
Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan and Airport Authority CEO Vivian Cheung officiated the launch.
過去嘅100年得來不易。
The transport chief says building an international airport over the past 100 years has been no easy feat, and it is our generation's responsibility to build on this foundation to ensure Hong Kong International Airport continues to shine on the world stage in the next century.
With the commission of the 3 runway last year and the upcoming phase opening of the new Terminal 2 starting in September, to be exact, actually next Tuesday, we will be opening the new coach hall in Terminal 2 and entering a new phase of expansion.
The Centennial Exhibition of Hong Kong Airport Development is open to the public and tourists from now on, and the exhibition period will end on November 8th. Check in TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.